Hi bro, welcome to my channel, like to this video and let's start.
So, Gaara, Naruto said as he followed his fellow Jinchuriki. Anything you want to tell me? Well, Gaara said, thanks to you, I finally gathered the confidence to reveal my true nature to the world with no shame. Naruto nodded. Yes, yes. But like, anything you want to tell me. Long red hair flew through the air as Gaara turned around. Naruto tried very hard not to look at the D-cup beasts that seemed to swing individually with minds of their own. Every minor movement. No, the bombshell that had replaced Gaara said. It was really freaky because her voice hadn't changed. So, Naruto said, I didn't realize that. You were a girl. I hid it to try because insert reason here. What? Naruto asked. I just really wanted to insert reason here. Naruto stared. I'm lost. Look, it's not important why I was pretending to be a guy. Now we can fuck and it will still be heterosexual. Naruto took a step back. Hinata, who'd been latched onto his arm, her fainting spells evidently forgotten, glared at Gaara. He's mine. The Hyuga heiress said. Nah, I love him more. I'm his biggest fan. A massive fangirl. A voice came said. Naruto turned to the source. And blinked. Some random guy with the most forgettable face he'd ever seen glared defiantly at Gaara. You're just a delusional fangirl. No, I'm not. Gaara yelled. Just because you won't accept that Academy Naruto could solo a dozen Jonin and Land of Waves arc Naruto could crush your favorite dozen M. Any less correct. He easily scales to multi-continental and 7 times faster than the speed of light. Nah, the man said. You just want to suck his dick. Yes I do. Gaara said. But that's beside the point. Naruto tuned them both out and kept walking. Sasuke opened his eyes, poised to immediately jump out of the genjutsu if something went wrong. Sasuke-kun. Sakura said. You're alright. He looked at the false version of his friend. Yes. He said, sitting up. What happened? Naruto fought Orochimaru off. Sasuke breathed a sigh of relief. But not before Orochimaru gave you a hickey. It was at that moment Sasuke felt the familiar sting of the cursed mark. He gripped his neck. Well, that's a thing. What do we do about it? Nothing. He said. It doesn't matter. Not that. Naruto. He's gotten too big for his breeches. Good for him. Sasuke said. Sakura stared at him aghast. I'm going home. Sasuke said as he stood up and looked around. Konoha was a mess. It wasn't too dissimilar to the destruction from the Konoha crush. Buildings with holes in them, streets that looked like they'd exploded from the inside out. The occasional earth. Dead bodies. Actually, Sakura said, your apartment was destroyed when Naruto picked the building up and slammed it into Orochimaru. You're homeless like Naruto used to be. Naruto was never homeless. Sasuke said. Yes he was. Sakura said. And now you're homeless. Sasuke groaned. Well, that doesn't matter either. I'll just find somewhere else to meditate. Ino was not pleased at the moment. And really, it was for one obvious reason. The girl sitting across the table from her. What happened to you? She asked the fake Sakura she'd just met up with. I quit being a ninja. Ino blinked. Dare I ask why? I found my true calling. I am. Can we keep it PG? She asked. Okay. Sakura Haruno, am not a ninja. I am Naruto's dedicated asterisk. When he wants to asterisk me, I say yes. When he wants to asterisk on me, I say yes. Even if he to asterisk on me, I say yes. How are you doing that with your mouth? Never asterisk mind how I'm doing it. No matter what degenerate thing he wants. I must oblige. For he is my master, who showed me the errors of my ways in thinking. Anything more than a asterisk. Ino blinked. I thought you liked Sasuke. Who? Sakura asked. Oh right. Ino said, remembering the current state of the last Uchiha. Never mind, I was thinking of someone else. You should try it. No, that thing will kill me. No it won't. Sakura said. Look, I understand. I hesitated too. I didn't think I'd like it. I even fought back, but I soon realized how wrong I was to do so. Ino stared at the girl. And it felt so good when he took his asterisk and asterisk so hard that I asterisk all over the Hokage's desk. How does it not kill you? Ino asked. Wait, did you say Hokage's desk? I do not understand why you are making such a big deal out of it. At that moment the waiter came to see them. May I take your payment? Oh, I'll get it, Sakura said before she reached down. What are you doing? Ino asked, her view blocked by the table. Sakura made a few faces, some struggling and some of pleasure before there was a very loud popping sound. She pulled a wet handbag the size of her head out. Ino stared at the bag before looking at the fake Sakura. Then she stood up. Thanks for the meal, she said robotically. I have to go. As she left, she muttered to herself. Leaving the house was a mistake. Kakashi wandered through the recreation of Konoha. It was downright eerie how real everything felt. The village was exactly like it was when he first got his students. He hoped that whatever absurd thing he found in this world would be bearable. Kakashi, a hauntingly familiar voice called out to him. The copy ninja turned around and stared at the ghost. Kushina smiled sweetly at him. Then she kicked the boy in front of her to the ground. Kakashi stared at the scrawny bruised kid struggling to get up before realizing that it was Naruto. This brat had the audacity to ask me to feed him, she said. Can you believe that? Kakashi continued to stare. Anyway, take him in, I don't really care. Kushina then grabbed the hand of a redhead girl standing next to her as lovingly as possible. I have to take my precious little to complete her training. And with that, the redhead sauntered off. Kakashi stared before finally asking a question. What kind of name is Mary? Kakashi stared at the monstrosity before him. Her hair was red, not red like Kushina's, red like magma, with spots of yellow that seemed animated, flowing from one spot to another. If he looked too long, he started to imagine that she actually had molten rock on her scalp. Her eyes were blue. Now they were green. Now they were red. Now they were a pool of primary colors swirling around like a whirlpool. Now they were the Sharingan. Now, were blue again. She was in a shining gold ball gown lined with tinsel that jingled in the wind. She had a kunai pack on her waist as the only indication that she was a ninja, but that was off. The ruby necklace, peacock feathers sticking out of her back and silver tiara. He turned to look at the other occupants of the classroom. Sasuke was minding his own business as usual, but now Sakura was draped over him and jabbering. Naruto was sitting quietly in a corner. Hyuga Hinata was sitting next to him, not moving, and there was what appeared to be a white automaton standing at attention at the back of the playing the role of a sixth body, but without doing anything. Well, he said, hello Mary. Kakashi-chan. The monstrosity whined. You know that's not what I like being called. Kakashi sighed as he recalled the nonsense he'd read on her file. Marion Susanna Rocketer Rosetta Gilligan Elizabeth Samael Irizessa Milkov Great Amazing Namikaze. The girl scowled. Not that, just a shortening of my first and second name. Kakashi blinked. Mary Sue. Even as he said the words, a chill ran down his spine. Like the agony of millions had briefly reached him. Exactly. Kakashi blinked before looking at the rest of the class. Team 7 will meet on the roof. Sasuke, Sakura, Mary Sue. Once the three were finally on the roof, Kakashi got to the introductions. Mary's file was filled with nothing but mindless praise from her instructors for her placement of RO. The year. He needed a grasp on who she was as a person. Sakura's introduction was mostly the same, with one minor addition. I hate Naruto, that whimpering fool. Kakashi blinked. Sasuke's was also the same except, I like. He glanced at Mary Sue, a few things. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Then, with very foreboding feelings, he looked at Mary Sue. I love the village, she said. And I love almost everything in it. Almost. Kakashi asked. I hate Naruto, the hell spawn, she said. Okay, Kakashi said, feeling sorry for this genjutsu version of Naruto. He resisted pointing out that she was spawned from the same place as her brother. My hobbies are training, sparring, reading, writing, electronic engineering, hiking, fishing, dog training, cat training, backpacking, camping, hunting, refinishing furniture, shopping, driving cars, flower arranging, bicycling, bird watching, antiquing, drawing, painting, designing toys, designing clothes, embroidery, weaving carpets, weaving tapestries, pottery, wood carving, beekeeping, learning languages, makeup, cosplay, singing, geocaching, beating shikamaru at shogi, solving puzzles, collecting stamps, cleaning fish tanks, practicing dance, yes, we're in the rhyming section, taking walks, fixing clocks, making candles, building sandcastles, making wine. interior design, stand-up comedy, photography, calligraphy, carpentry, archery, and with that we transition to the sports section. Kite flying, meditation, equestrianism, volleyball, basketball, football, racing, rugby, swimming, boxing, tennis, ping pong, canoeing, skating, ice skating and billiards. I also play instruments like the piano, guitar, trombone, electric guitar, drums, xylophone and triangle. Kakashi stared blankly at her. What's a car? He was ignored. And my dream? Mary Sue got up and jumped several feet in the air, throwing her arms up as she did. The sun reflected off her dress, creating an aura of light that seems to take the form of a guardian angel behind her. She froze, dramatically floating in the air. Kakashi looked around as he heard a choir singing. Mary Sue declared, will be Hokage. Soon as she finished her declaration, a different sound began drowning out the choir. Kakashi looked behind him over the roof. Everyone on the ground had broken into of applause. Oh, Kakashi said, realizing what the strange sound like 1,000 slaps was. All of Konoha is clapping. Mary landed gracefully before sitting down. Thank you, she said with a sweet smile. Kakashi glanced at the other genin. Sakura and Sasuke were staring at Mary Sue with undisguised adoration. Okay, Kakashi said, feeling like he'd aged 10 years. Naruto's team, Team 13, were still in the middle of their meeting inside the classroom when Kakashi arrived. Newly promoted Jonin, Yumino Iruka, looked at him suspiciously. Hey Kakashi, he said. What are you doing here? Just curious about Naruto's teammates, he said. And searching for some normalcy, he added internally. He looked at the two kids and the blank automaton. Sorry, he said, your names escape me. I'm Hinata, Hinata said with more confidence than Kakashi expected. He looked at the automaton. My identity is not important, it said in a monotone voice. I exist to round out this team's numbers without intruding on the Naruhina ship. Kakashi said nothing. Well, he said, nice to meet you all. He looked at Naruto, who was glaring at him before leaving out the window. Kakashi, Minato said with a smile as the Jonin walked into his house. How are you doing? Fine, Kakashi said as he looked around. How's Kushina? Oh, she's at a fashion show. Kakashi froze in his tracks. Fashion show? He asked, unsure if he'd heard right. Yeah, Minato said. She has to put on an example for all the women of Konoha after all. Kakashi nodded dumbly and followed his sensei into the living room. The fourth Hokage sat down on a couch. So what brings you? Your daughter is on my team. Kakashi said. Minato beamed. Ah yes, my precious Mary Sue. Such prodigious talent and unparalleled power. Yes, Kakashi said. She's definitely unparalleled. I've never met anyone like her. Of course you haven't, Minato said. She's a one-of-a-kind genius beyond the understanding of everyone. You know, she was thinking like a Hokage as a 3-month-old fetus. Kakashi nodded along. I fully expect that she'll pass the Bell test with flying colors. Minato said. Yes, Kakashi said. I'll be surprised if she doesn't. But I also wanted to ask. What about Naruto? As soon as the words left Kakashi's mouth, the world seemed to slow to a crawl and the atmosphere go so much heavier. Kakashi stared at his sensei, or more specifically, thunderous look on his face that was usually only reserved for the battlefield. The demon, Minato said. Kakashi's eye twitched. Calm down, he told himself. Let's not lose our tempers. And then Minato kept talking. Sasuke looked at the white-haired ninja with some concern. So, how was it? He asked. Kakashi looked at him. Why do you ask? Because you suddenly had a spike of anger that reminds me a lot of me, last month. Kakashi sighed in. Sorry. The genjutsu brought back my sensei and, I did not like it. Sasuke remembered the fourth Hokage. He was a lot like Naruto, though less intense. He could be just as silly though. Was it that bad? He asked. Kakashi thought about it for a moment. Yes. You pulled me out before I attacked him. Ino sympathetically tapped the Jonin's shoulder. You could do what I do. What do you do? Kakashi asked. Hide in my bedroom, Ino said with a smile. Naruto decided that he liked fake Suna more than fake Konoha. Then again, that wasn't much a bar to surpass. Hinata was still shifting between not being able to stay conscious in his presence and being fiercely overprotective, usually in conjunction to how close Gaara or Tamari were. Was strange, but it was manageable. There was just one issue that presented itself when he went to one of their training grounds. Unlike Konoha, it wasn't a forest, but a plain of sand with sand dunes scatter around it. Being a ninja in the land of wind was clearly different from being a ninja in the land of fire. But even beyond that, there was one thing he was sure wasn't norm. Even in the village hidden in the sand. My sand is easily faster than explosions. Gaara yelled as she sent a torrent of the stuff at her sister. Well, my fan speed is hypersonic from deflecting to Yuya's sound waves. She screamed back as she blew a shot of wind at the sand, knocking it back. And you think you can stand up to my town-level attacks? Gaara retorted, jumping back and creating a huge tsunami of sand. Tamari quickly summoned a weasel. My blade dance leveled a forest and killed Yuya with one attack. It is also town level. Her blast of wind hit Gaara's sand and, again, odds, stalemated it. Naruto looked at Kankuro. What's happening? They're sparring. Kankuro said simply. This isn't a sparring match. Naruto said. This is. I don't know what this is. They're just keeping each other's scaling in mind to be as accurate as possible. Accuracy is important. Okay. Naruto said. He knew that questions only led to more confusion. We should finish this, sister, Gaara said as she clapped her hands together. Lore implications confirm that I'm stronger than you. Aaaaah. Tamari screamed as she was launched off her feet and into a sand dune, blood spurting from her mouth. What the fuck? Naruto asked. Sasuke didn't have the energy to question anything anymore. Like how Tsunade had just slotted into the position of Hokage the day after Hiruzen died. Or why even Thogue was ostensibly the day after Orochimaru's attack, Konoha looked as good as new. Or if they were going to do the Chunin exams at all. He was barely fazed by the fact that the buxom Hokage's breasts were now, notably bigger. Team 7, she said, I have received a mission for you. She reached for a sheaf of documents near the edge of the table. They were on the edge because about half the table in front of her was occupied by her nauseatingly hug breasts. They looked less like human organs and more like giant sacks attached to her chest. You need to retrieve a scroll from the remains of Uzushiogakure. The name made Sasuke pay attention. Fake Naruto had said that he was the heir to the throne of Uzushiogakure. He looked at the black-clad ninja who was smirking evilly. Tsunade scanned them before her eyes landed on Naruto. Then she blushed and looked away while fidgeting. Her breasts seemed to ripple from like water from the motion. Sasuke barely restrained himself from gagging. But, Tsunade said with a small voice, I'm not sure this A-rank mission is right for a team of genin. Even with the hero of Konoha on their side. But didn't you call us here to give us this mission? Sasuke said against his better judgment. His vision changed abruptly. One moment, he was looking at the physical embodiment of, too much a good thing, and the next his face was buried in the floor. How dare you talk back to the Hokage? A voice barked at him. Sasuke groaned. Then he was wrenched off the ground and dragged closer to the sitting woman who was glaring at him. He looked back and realized he was being held by Anbu agents. What the? Bow your head and apologize, you arrogant bastard. Once he was right at the edge of her table, they pushed his face down. Right into her oversized breasts. Sasuke yelled, trying to breathe while his face was buried in flesh. Sweaty, moist, mushy flesh. After 10 seconds, his face was pulled out. I'm sorry, gasped. Tsunade scoffed. Only a real man can handle these babies. She slapped her breasts. It sounded like a gong had been hit. As the Anbu let Sasuke go, he stumbled away from the freak of a woman. I can handle it. Sasuke looked back at the fake Naruto incredulously. I have no interest in desires of the flesh. He said, his face stoic in a way that did not belong on Naruto's face. But if I must in order to get this mission, then I will tolerate. Womanly tendencies. He looked at the Hokage dispassionately. Of course, this isn't because I want to, but because you want me to. Consider them handled. Where's his Anbu face slam? Sasuke wondered. Oh really? Tsunade asked with a predatory smile. You're all dismissed. Except you, Naruto. Sasuke was out of the room in a heartbeat. What the fuck? Sakura was glad to finally have a break from her teammates. Unfortunately, it was quite clear that her teammates weren't the only ones who'd lost their goddamn minds. And then I said, no, and she said, yes, and I said, shut up, and she said, you shut up, and I said, you whore, and she said, me whore. So, in summary, my mom is Get. A pet bird. Ino smiled as she remembered the story. Sakura nodded along to the story she was barely paying attention to. Oh, my God. Tenten said between loud smacks of her gum, your mom is such a mom. I know. Hinata said. Then she flinched. Hey, she said to the woman filing her nails. Be careful. So, Sakura said. This group pedicure is. Oh my God. Ino said. Girl, don't tell me you've forgotten about our group pedicure. Yeah. Tenten said before she blew a bubble that exploded, coating her face. We need to look good for our teams. Hinata said. It's the least we can do considering how useless we are. I know that, Sakura said, pretending to understand. I just wanted to know what color we'd get. Isn't it obvious? Ino said. Lipstick red. Ah, Sakura said, nodding. But do tell, Tenten said as she finally managed to scrape the gum from her face. How are your attempts to bag Sasuke going? About as well as normal. Tenten rolled her eyes. So you haven't used it yet? Used what? Ino shook her head. You're never going to get him under your thumb, and on top of you, without taking this seriously. I mean, if you don't get a ninja husband, what even? The point of becoming a kunoichi? Sakura chose not to answer. Ino reached into her pouch and threw a vial at Sakura, who barely caught it with her reduced coordination. A few drops of that on his skin and he won't be able to keep his hands off you. Sakura stared at the vial for a few seconds. Then she looked at Ino. I'm sorry, what? It's very effective, Tenten said before tapping her stomach. That's how I managed to trap Neji. It took Sakura a few seconds to realize that her belly was slightly larger than normal. What the fuck? Kakashi dodged a tornado of wood Mary Sue had launched at him and barely managed to avoid being grabbed by her as she teleported in front of him using the Hiraishin. Those bells are mine, she screamed as she punched the ground, creating a massive crater. Kakashi barely flipped out of the way before a branch sprouted from the ground to grab him. He quickly escaped with the substitution jutsu. As he put more distance between himself and the strange creature, he noticed Sasuke and Sakura watching from the sidelines with admiration in their eyes. This is going worse than their original bell test, Kakashi thought before he had to catch Mary Sue's wrist right before she smashed a Rasengan in his face. He stopped hold back and punched her in the gut. Beneath her ball gown, he could feel her stomach against his fist. Her abs were harder than Guy's. The girl was launched into the air but quickly righted herself and made several hand seals. A giant tree burst out of the ground and caught her in the leaves. Seriously? Kakashi asked. How strong was this girl? I can see I'll need to fight with all I have, she said. 10th Gate of Beauty. 10th what of what? With an explosion PF pressure and chakra, Mary Sue's body turned bright gold as angel wings burst from her back. She grew taller as her body matured until she looked like was 18. She reached back and flipped her now golden hair. Off in the distance, the Hokage monument exploded. Kakashi stared, completely at a loss. Now sensei, shall we continue? She teleported right in front of him. You pass, Kakashi said in a bout of self-preservation. Mary Sue paused. Then she nodded and turned back to normal. Now, Kakashi said, if you'll excuse me, I need to go do something. He quickly used the shunshin to get as far away as he could. Once he landed in an alley, he collapsed. His hands and knees. What the fuck? Kurama woke up with a groan, choosing not to open his eyes. He had a splitting headache. He knew from the fact that he was awake that Naruto had definitely managed to defeat Sasuke, or at least not die. He felt like he'd been asleep for at least a few weeks, which he'd expected, but something still felt off. What did Naruto do now? He asked. Then he stopped. Something was wrong with his voice. It sounded human. Hey, I didn't do anything. The Nine-Tails' eyes snapped open as he sat up and looked at the source of the too young voice. It was Naruto, but he was 12 years old again. And they weren't in his MI. Kurama was lying on a bed. Naruto, what happened? Are we in your old room? Naruto raised an eyebrow. What? Not calling me Gaki or kid anymore. Kurama looked at his hands. His human hands. Sure, the nails were longer than normal, and his skin had a slight red tint to it, but it was undeniably human. He shot up from the bed he'd been lying in and ran to where he knew the bathroom was, stopping in front of the mirror. A very human face with wild orange hair and yellow human eyes stared back. Slash. Sasuke stopped walking as he heard a slightly familiar voice, filled with rage and anguish, scream, "What the fuck? Kurama?" he asked. "So," Sasuke said, "I think I can make this the last trip, especially now that I've found Kurama." Sakura let out a sigh of relief. "But," Sasuke said, "if we're really going to crush this genjutsu, it'll be a lot faster to have a lot more beacons." Ino looked at him. "How many more?" Sasuke looked at the gathered ninja. "Any volunteers?" Kiba walked through the changed Konoha looking down at himself. For some reason, he was still a teenager, which was pretty contrary to what everyone promised. He didn't know if this would be a good thing or not. He looked at the door in front of him. The weirdness seemed to always surround Naruto, from what he'd been told. And being weirded out was an emotion Sasuke had apparently gotten really good at noticing. He took a deep breath, steeled his nerves, and opened the door. He slammed it shut as soon as he caught sight of what was inside. Was that the wreckage? Despite the common sense that told him to turn and run, he couldn't resist the urge to make sure what he had seen was accurate. Cursing his curiosity, he opened the door. He was not prepared for what he saw. It really was the wreckage. And Hinata. And Ino. And Tenten. And Hanabi, Hinata's sister. And Tamari. And the Mizukage. And Sakura. Girl that looked a lot like Naruto's sexy jutsu. And the woman Naruto had transformed into when he was explaining what that Kagaya chick Team 7 had fought during the W. Like, none of them had noticed him, too preoccupied with. Kiba closed the door and turned around. And then he began running. Shizune cuddled Taunton, trying not to look at the Hokage. Unfortunately, doing so was beyond her capacity as she looked at Tsunade. And then at the child in Tsunade's AR. Child was both an extremely accurate word, and yet, so misleading. But Shizune couldn't deny what she was bearing witness to. "I love you, mommy." The 12-year-old Naruto, dressed in an orange, fox-themed onesie said before he went back to sucking on her breasts. "Oh baby," Tsunade said in the most obnoxious voice Shizune had ever heard her made. "I'm just your grandmommy. Minato was my long-lost son, remember?" Shizune had several things to say to that, but she settled for cuddling the pig. "This couldn't possibly get worse. I pooped myself," Naruto said. Tsunade gasped. "I'll change you." Shizune turned to the window and opened it. "Shizune?" Tsunade asked, looking away from the baby. "Taunton wants to go out." "Bye." Shizune jumped out of the building, hoping the bars she usually had to retrieve Tsunade from existed in this world. It was either that or Beck. Missing Nin. Choji wasn't sure what he'd been expecting when he'd gone to visit Naruto, but it wasn't this. "And did I tell you about how his raven jet black hair glistens in the sun when the light hit it just right?" Choji couldn't answer, too busy looking at the shrine in Naruto's living room. There were pictures. Dozens of them. Of Sasuke. And it would be one thing if that was it, but it wasn't. There were scented tomato-flavored candles. There was a lock of hair nailed to a wooden board. There was a vial of W. Choji hoped was tomato juice but was too familiar with food to believe it was. There was a pile of half-rotten leftovers he guessed Sasuke had eaten. There was a pile of clothes on the ground, the shirts with a large Uchiha fan on the back. Choji glanced at the blonde. "Sure, Sasuke may have called me a psycho yandere stalker he would murder if he saw again," the boy said, "but I know he didn't mean it. When I rescue him from Orochi, he's going to be so awestruck, he'll fall in love with me immediately." Choji just nodded dumbly. "And then he'll put his children inside me." Choji resisted the urge to start crying. Tenten looked over the three girls in front of her. They didn't look any younger. In fact, they looked exactly like they did after the war. "What?" Ino asked, noticing she was being watched. "Nothing," Tenten said. "Have you guys seen Naruto lately?" Ino asked. "Not really. Did he do something?" No. At least I'm not sure. Maybe you should ask Hinata," Ino said with a sly smirk. "What?" Hinata asked. "Come on. We all know you like him." At that moment Madara Uchiha and Hidan walked into the restaurant. Tenten would probably have reacted violently if she didn't freeze in fear. Madara Uchiha, the revived ninja behind the most recent war in Hidan, the immortal religious zealot who had killed Asuma. And they were walking closer while arguing about flowers. Sakura-chan. Hidan moaned before he draped himself on the chunin in question. Tell Madara he's wrong about your favorite flowers. Sakura. Tell this idiot he's wrong. She would never do that. Hidan said before he reached his tongue out and licked the inside of Sakura's ear. The pinkett shuddered in pleasure. Madara bent over so her was at eye level with Sakura, giving her bedroom eyes. Are you sure you want to start this, Hidan? Tenten opened her mouth, but no words came out. It didn't feel like real life anymore. It felt like she'd stepped into one of those erotic books she'd borrowed from Ino. All we're missing was a pirate with an exposed chest. As if on cue, another man walked in. Ino looked at him, then did a double take. The man was tall. No, that wasn't enough. The man was tall. He must have been at least 10 foot tall. He was light blonde and lean with fancy, red-tinted sunglasses. He was wearing open white shirt and pink striped red trousers. The most notable part of his outfit though was the giant mass of pink feathers on his back. He walked up to there, paused, then stretched up and let out the evilest laugh Tenten had ever heard. Madara sighed and stood up. The giant man bent forward so that he was staring the Uchiha in the eye. A bold move. May I help you, Doflamingo? Sasuke sent me to tell you two idiots to come back. Ah, so you're Sasuke's errand boy now? Doflamingo's grin didn't leave his face. Careful. You aren't a Jinchuriki anymore. And you think that means you can take me? Maybe not. But it means that if Sasuke puts you inside one of those floating moons he makes, you're not coming out. So by all means. Doflamingo leaned in so close, Tay thought he was going to kiss Madara. Do as you will. There was a moment of complete silence. Then Madara reached up, grabbed Doflamingo's face and pulled him into a kiss. Tenten choked. And the Doflamingo kissed him back. And they started using tongue. Hidan sighed. Then he licked Sakura's face. See you later, babe. He stood up and walked over to the two men making out. Alright, he said, let's get going. The two men separated, a very noticeable trail of saliva leading from one mouth to the other. Without a word, all three turned and left the restaurant. Yeesh, Sakura. Ino said. Keep your boyfriends in check. I can't control them. Sakura said. Yeah, right. Ino said. You haven't met a single dangerous man who didn't fall madly in love with you. Tenten would have gotten up to leave, but she was very scared of how many dangerous psychos she would meet if she stepped outside. Sai fell back into his old stance and said nothing as easily as he breathed. He was in his Anbu uniform, standing at attention at the meeting between Danzo and the third Hokage. He and a dozen other Anbu. He supposed he shouldn't have been surprised. His childhood hadn't exactly been normal. Danzo, Hiruzen said, I don't think this is. Shut up. The bandaged ninja said before slapping his old teammate. Sai blinked behind his mask as the third Hokage got up from his seat, walked to a corner of the room, sat down, and began crying. Danzo sat in the chair and put both of his feet on the table. Now, we have reports from Ebisu village that there's a sentiment that ninjas are a bad thing. Sai wouldn't claim to be the most knowledgeable ninja in the world, but after the Fourth Great Ninja War, he was well aware that ninjas weren't exactly popular among civilians outside their villages. So, it is with a heavy heart that I must order you to go and kill it. Sai blinked. Then he dared to voice question. Kill it, sir. Danzo nodded. Yes. You must kill the village. Sai opened his mouth to say something but closed it. But remember to capture all the children. They will be trained to be effective root agents. But Danzo, Hiruzen sobbed. We can't. It is for the greater good. Danzo screamed. Hiruzen quieted down. Do not worry. Danzo affirmed. No one will be able to identify you with your masks on. Sai chanced a glance at the female agent beside him. Her duck mask did nothing to hide her bright pink hair. Now, go, my agents of Konoha's justice. As they filed out, Sai decided he'd try his luck at the whole missing nin thing. Rock Lee liked to think that he was an exceptionally hard worker. Every single one of his skills was something he fought tooth and nail for. With that in mind, this was ridiculous. What are you doing? The tiny version of Neji sat up on the lawn chair he was sunbathing in. Trying to get the perfect tan. Yeah, Tenten said from where she was lounging in a hot tub that was in the middle of their training ground for some reason. She was in a beige one-piece. What does he like he's doing? Not training. Both of them looked at each other before they burst out laughing. Are you okay? Tenten asked. You spent like 5 minutes hugging Neji when we got here. And now you're suggesting that we train. Ninjas don't train, Neji said. We don't need to. Lee blinked. You don't. Of course, he said. Ninjas are all born at their best level with no need to train. Except you. Lee blinked at Neji's statement. What? It's true. Tenten said. Neji's never trained a day in his life and he's a better ninja than you. I didn't even believe that when I was 14. You are 14. Are you okay? I think I'll go for a run. Lee flipped onto his arms and began moving far from the tiny versions of both of his teammates. The mission was almost over and Sasuke was glad he'd skipped most of it when he ducked out of Naruto's mind. They were in the ruins of Uzushiogakure, and it was already confusing. For a village that had been destroyed for decades, it was surprisingly intact. And yet derelict. It looked more like the remains of an ancient civilization that had somehow not been raided into pieces by bandits. The buildings looked far too old but were still standing. Beyond that, the layout of the city was actually pretty interesting. It appeared to have been designed based on the spiral that was the clan symbol of the Uzumaki with a road that went around the village leading to the center. Sasuke imagined it was used for fancy official processions. Of course there were several smaller roads that connect village in a more sensible manner so that you didn't have to walk round every building to get from one place to another. I can't believe 3 elemental nations gathered together just to wipe out my people. Way more impressive than being wiped out by one person, wouldn't you agree, Sasu? Sasuke almost fell over before looking at Naruto. The audacity. Interesting fact. Can you back it up with a source? My source is that I made it the fuck up. Sasuke blinked. What? Naruto asked. Everyone knows that's what happened. Sasuke had no idea how Uzushiogakure had been destroyed. He hadn't cared enough to dig into it, but he felt confident he'd have heard if 3 nations allied together do war to destroy this one village. Don't forget, our mission is to retrieve the one scroll. Kakashi said. I know the Uzumaki scrolls of unlimited power, ultimate key, master teleportation, the creation of Stan. Harnessing of Nen, the note of death and time travel will seem tempting, but it's best we leave those. Sasuke stared at the construct of Kakashi. He noticed. The power of seals is incredible. The Jonin simply said. Just look at the Hiraishin. Sasuke was 99% sure the 4th Hokage's jutsu wasn't classified as a seal technique but chose to let that slide in favor of getting back to his thoughts. Kiba was disgusted. And so was Shizune. And Choji appeared to be weeping. Tenten was also disgusted, but she felt more shocked and terrified than anything else. Sai appeared to have become a missing nin. Good for him. And Lee was confused. And thanks to them, he was able to create a very clear and direct pathway to Kurama, who was confused and angry. Before he could make that final connection though, a man appeared in front of him that sent all thoughts flying from his mind. Itachi, standing 10 feet away, looking as stoic as always, was his older brother. Oh no, Kakashi said. It's Solo King Itachi. It's what? Sasuke asked. Itachi looked at all 4 of them. Then he jerked his head to the side and began walking away. He wants us to follow him. Kakashi said. Finally, some excitement, Naruto said as he began following the man who, as far as he knew, was a mass murderer. Sasuke groaned before following, concentrating on his map. He wasn't particularly interested in what twisted form his brother would take and he hoped he could get away quickly. He couldn't get away quick enough, and now he was forced to watch this farce. The Akatsuki had made a base in the center of Uzushiogakure, where a palace, a giant golden palace they had somehow not seen when they'd entered the village, was Satu. And Naruto was sitting on the fucking throne. It's an honor to place you, the head of this clan, of this village, of this land, back in his rightful place, Pain said with a respectful bow of his head. Thank you, Naruto said. Sasuke tore his eyes from that horror show to look at the rest of the Akatsuki. He hadn't met most of them, but he had learned what they looked like. Konan was playing cards with Sasori. Deidara, Hidan and Kakuzu were engaging in a drinking contest. Kisame and Kakashi were arm wrestling. Zetsu and Sakura were talk about sweets. Seeking answers, Sasuke walked over to Obito. The orange-masked man nodded at him. So, the Akatsuki. Do you like it? Obito answered in his Madara voice. We all came together because we couldn't stand our villages and left to pursue our own goals. Sasuke nodded. So far, so confusing. But we've found each other and became a true loving family, as he said that his voice got really sappy at the end. Sasuke gave the disguised Uchiha a flat look. Obito looked at him, but then he looked away quickly in fear. Huh. Sasuke looked behind him. Itachi. I'm sorry Solo King Itachi, Obito said. I did not mean any insult. Please do not one-tap me. Itachi nodded sagely. I need some air, Sasuke said as he began walking away. You've been very mature today Sasuke. Sasuke turned and looked at his brother. So, the prodigal asshole speaks, he said. Then he paused. I've been spending a lot of time with Naruto. Itachi didn't respond to his insult. You've been very mature about the whole Uchiha massacre. It would have been childish if you got angry or felt the need to fight Miove. See that you've come to understand that sometimes. Sasuke turned around and walked away. When he stopped he was standing over a pool outside the palace. He sat down in a lotus position and meditated on the map. Someone sat down beside him and Sasuke turned his head. It was Sakura. Are you okay? She asked. I mean, of course you are, you're Sasuke Uchiha. Nothing phases you and, she stopped talking when Sasuke put his fingers on her forehead. You always see the best in me, don't you? I don't always appreciate. I probably don't deserve it, and yet here we are. Well, he glanced back at the mansion. Both of you anyway, but he's way too twisted Suppose I should say thank you. Even if you're an exaggerated caricature. Sakura beamed at his words. At that moment, Sasuke made the connection. Kurama was not amused. At all. For some reason, not only was he stuck as a human, but the people of the village were convinced that he was Naruto's twin brother. And to top it off, he and the dumb Kai. Stuck as 12-year-olds. And when he said dumb, he meant barely capable of functioning independently. And why were his only available clothes an orange kimono with flames? Kurama deigned to look at the child who was squatting at the side of the road. He had sand in his mouth. He swallowed it. It tastes different from normal. Kurama kept walking. No wonder he was outside Naruto as his big brother. This version of the child would clearly die if left alone. The only reason he didn't destroy the village with a Biju bomb was that he had no idea what was happening, and it would upset Naruto if he did. He stopped to chuckle to himself. The village seemed to have reverted by 3 years, but his attitude towards the ninja that acted as his cage couldn't be more different. Kurama turned around. Uchiha. He snarled. Naruto looked at him. No. Sasuke's still in the hospital after you drop-kicked him through the Hokage tower. Kurama looked at the boy. Then he laughed. Very funny. Sasuke's voice said again. Now, do you want to know where you are or not? Kurama sighed. Go ahead. He ignored the strange look Naruto gave him. Naruto was hit with an extremely complicated genjutsu. It seems that it trapped you in your own genjutsu to match. Sounds like the infinite Tsukuyomi. What an apt comparison. When I tried to break him out of it, I was put in my own unique genjutsu. Frankly, it just seems to be made up of nonsense meant to confuse and disorient me. I sense from your voice that it worked. Sasuke made a grumbling sound. Several ninja and I have entered Naruto's mind to create a workable pathway to you. And I've figured out why the genjutsu went crazy. The genjutsu's latched onto your chakra and is mutating to be like the infinite Tsukuyomi. Makes sense considering you were part of the 10 tails. That's why I can't break. Normally. And what are your options exactly? Drain you of all chakra until you essentially dissipate. Kurama wished the last Uchiha was in front of him so he could see the flat expression on his face. I'm only telling you that so you'll listen to the other method. And that is, I need to bring everyone currently in Naruto's mind to you. When you're all gathered, I'll be able to grab a hold of the genjutsu and shatter it. I sense a but. I need your chakra. Kurama wished the last Uchiha was in front of him so he could see the scowl on his face. I'll need it to move through the jutsu because it's so tailored to your chakra signature. Or this could be a crazy ploy to try and take my chakra that you've concocted. There was a silence. Do I sound like Naruto to you? Good point. Kurama began gathering his chakra. He glanced at the extremely curious Naruto staring him. We've both tried to kill him, and now we're trying to find a wa. Save him. He grinned. Here it comes. He sent the chakra rushing through the connection. Slash. Sasuke felt the chakra rush over him through his connection to the Biju. Sasuke? Sakura asked, her voice filled with concern. Sasuke ignored her as he felt his power awaken in reaction to the jumpstart from the fox. He stood up and looked into the pool in front of him. His body was golden like Na. In his Kyuubi chakra mode, but his eyes were different. One was a Sharingan and the other was what Naruto had dubbed the Rinna Sharingan. He smirked and was surprised. Find that his teeth were all razor sharp. Interesting. There was a crash and Sasuke turned around to see that Naruto had burst out of the mansion, leaving a hole in his wake. The Akatsuki were all peering out of the hole in S. Sasuke? He asked. What is the meaning of this? Sasuke looked at Sakura and held a hand out for her. She blinked in apprehension before taking it and accepting his help to stand. Sasuke shot his other hand out and caught Kubikiribocho by its blade. Naruto stared at him in shock. Sasuke couldn't resist the urge to smirk as he squeezed and shattered the blade. Sorry Naruto. But I've got a job to do. The false Naruto recovered rather quickly to Sasuke's change, his body turning red with Kyuubi chakra. So, you were hiding a power from me? He asked. Before Sasuke could retort, a Rasengan formed in his opponent's hand and slammed into his stomach. Sasuke looked down at where Naruto's hand stopped on his stomach. He slammed his hand into his chest, sending him flying. I don't have time for this. He dodged Hidan's scythe. Don't attack the air too. You're the immortal serial killer, right? Orochimaru complained about you rather often. Wah. Hidan's question was interrupted by Sasuke's hand slicing through his arm. Before he could scream, Sasuke used Almighty Push to blast him back, sending him fly into the castle. Hidan. Obito screamed. Then he looked at Sasuke. How dare you hurt one of our family? Sasuke blinked. You're Wa. He dodged a grab from Pain before punching him in the gut. The other Rinnegan user went flying after Hidan. Sasuke looked at the fake Sakura. She should have been scared, but she just looked happy. I knew you were hiding something amazing, she said, stars in her eyes. Sasuke cocked his head before a buildup of chakra made him glance at where he'd thrown the fake Naruto. You're still up. The Jinchuriki was up to 3 tails. I'm going to stop. The imposter stopped. I don't particularly care about this village. And honestly, I wish you good luck with this, whatever. I have other things to do that don't involve wasting chakra here. Naruto stared at him in shock and then got even angrier. No, that's not how this goes. You don't just leave to do whatever. I have to beat you. I have to be superior to you. Arrogant ass. Why? Sasuke asked. That's just how it goes. Naruto screamed as he sprouted a 4th tail. You're not supposed to be important. You're not supposed to go off and do whatever you want. I'm supposed to beat you and make you feel bad. Who said you're allowed to be so complicated? Just let me beat you and prove I'm better. That's how the story's supposed to. Sasuke wasn't sure how to react to that. Is that your problem? That I have my own life? No, it's you don't fit. You don't fit in my story. Sasuke looked at Sakura. Then he looked at the watching Akatsuki. Then he considered how he was expected to act. I guess we can agree on that, he said. I don't fit in. Story. He smiled. I have my own. Naruto charged forward only to get punched in the face. This time, Sasuke put some effort into it. Naruto went flying through several buildings until several miles away. He looked at Sakura. I have to go. The Kunoichi blinked. What but? The truth is I'm not right for your story either. I really don't belong here. But why not? How could it possibly get better than this? Sasuke grimaced. I don't think it's supposed to. The Sasuke of your story is very different from me. Sakura's face fell. Sasuke turned away from her and focused. A bright orange portal appeared in front of him. He took a step towards it but stopped when a hand grabbed his. He turned to look and was taken aback as the fake Sakura pressed her lips into the corner of his mouth. He stared at her as she smiled. Well, I'm sure there's a Sakura in your story. And I'm sure she'll be happy with you. There was a roar and explosion of chakra that caught everyone's attention. 9 massive yellow tails could be seen in the distance. Give me a moment. Sasuke said before he held his hand out and formed a miniature tailed beast bomb. With a second application of chakra, he added lightning to its M. Before winding his arm back. With a heave, he threw it as hard as he could as the forming 9 tails. He turned back to portal and stepped into it before looking back. Fake Sakura was smiling at him, even as the environment behind her was enveloped in a massive white explosion. With a lurch, the environment changed. Sasuke was once again looking at Sakura. But this one looked a lot different. Sakura? He asked. The girl looked up at him. She was sitting alone on the roof of a bar. Sasuke? She asked before glancing at the bottle of sake in her hand. That's strange. I shouldn't be hallucinating just from drinking. For a second Sasuke considered that this was another genjutsu construct, but that obviously wasn't the case. Where his eyes could perceive the buzz of the same dark aura. Chakra in the makeup of everything around him, Sakura's looked different. It looked like her own chakra. You aren't hallucinating, Sakura. I'm here to pick you up. Did you get drunk? As obvious as the answer to that question was, Sasuke still needed verbal confirmation. Well, it was either that or plan how to trap you with a pregnancy. On any other day, Sasuke may have been confused and demanded details. Well, next up, we're going to pick up Ino. Sakura stared at him before smiling. Sasuke, she yelled, jumping into his arms. Sasuke caught her and looked at her before sighing. Okay. He opened another portal. Now he was in a girl's room. Ino was standing with her back to him, pressing her body against the door and screaming. I told you, I have no interest in fucking your monster cock. Ino? Sakura asked groggily as she stumbled out of Sasuke's arms. Ino turned around, her eyes wide. How long have you been standing there? I told you, Sakura said in a mocking imitation of the blonde's voice. And we want no details, Sasuke said. Let's go. Wait, Ino said. Can I say goodbye to my dad? Sasuke blinked. Then he nodded. Ino looked at the door. Then she stopped. Could you do me a favor? A minute later, Sasuke was avoiding looking at the electrocuted form of the genjutsu's version of Naruto, and the ridiculous bulge in his pants. Sakura was laughing. Ino whispered something to the confused facsimile of her father before kissing his cheek. Sasuke opened the portal to the next genjutsu. Inoichi reacted in shock, but before he could do anything, Sasuke stretched 2 giant chakra arms to grab both girls and hopped through the portal. This time, he was greeted with words. If anyone has a reason why these two should not be wed, the man speaking trailed off as everyone turned to look at the intruders. Is this a wedding? Ino asked, looking around at all the staring guests. Not just any wedding, Sasuke said, looking at the bride and groom standing a few feet in front of him. Nice to see someone's been enjoying themselves. Hinata had the decency to look abashed. Woo! Sakura screamed. Good on you getting your guy. Wait. You didn't have to get pregnant, did you? We've been trying. The head of the Hyuga clan yelled from his seat. Now Hinata looked mortified. The groom, Naruto, stared at them. Then he looked at behind him at his best man. Then he looked at 2 of Hinata's bridesmaids. Then he looked back at them. Why are 2 of you guys? Sasuke opened a portal to the next genjutsu. Not important. Just here to pick something up. He made a 3rd giant arm and, right as he stepped into the portal, teleport Hinata into it. With an unholy screech, the Hyuga clan jumped at him like rabid animals, but they were far too slow. Once they were in the next world, Sasuke decided that he wanted to go back and fight the Hyuga clan. They had teleported into what appeared to be a barbecue restaurant. He vaguely recognized his classmates in the figures he was looking at. Sure, Ino looked like she'd been deep fried and Choji was wearing the second most obscene set of CL he'd ever seen, but still, the constructs of his classmates began talking in a language he didn't understand. Finally, their version of Sasuke walked up to him and Sasuke almost died of embarrassment. He was wearing all black clothes with a black jacket and had about a dozen pie in his face. When he opened his mouth to speak, Sasuke saw that he was wearing vampire teeth too. Dare Dezu ka? The abomination asked. Sasuke considered killing it before Ino spoke up. Shikamaru, we're here to pick you up. Sasuke realized that Shikamaru was staring at them from the middle of the crowd. And next to him was a cross-dressing Naruto. Who are your strangely dressed friends? Ino asked. Then she looked at her double. And have they heard of moderation? Shikamaru glanced at Hinata, who was still in her wedding dress. Point. Ino conceded. Then she looked at Sasuke, who was staring at the cross-dressing Naruto. He was wearing a low-cut skirt and white blouse with pink boys decorating. No, 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 nope, no. Sasuke repeated before he grabbed Shikamaru and opened another portal. Nope, no, no, I'm not dealing with that again. Not happening. Goodbye Shikamaru. Wait. The Nara screamed before Sasuke could step through the portal. Otu-san. Shikaku Nara appeared out of nowhere. You learnt their language? Sasuke asked. Just a few phrases. Shikaku launched into a stream of words. Sasuke was sure expressed worry and concern for his son, but then Shikamaru interrupted. Anata ga koishi desu, he said with a smile. Arigato. Sasuke stepped through the portal. Their collection of weirdos landed in front of Kakashi in the middle of a training field. But what concerned him more was the fact that he could see the Hokage monument where he was standing. Or at least, what was left of it. The masked ninja said, nodding. Okay. Sasuke looked at the three genin with him. He recognized himself and Sakura, but not the redhead girl. He noted that she had orange eyes. Wait. Sasuke said. Is Naruto a girl in this world? You, the redhead said, pointing at Sasuke. You're a threat to my world. Sasuke's question was interrupted as he reflexively put his arms in front of himself to block the kick to his face. Both of his arms broke. She's stronger than emo Naruto. Sasuke asked himself. No, he would have gotten this strong eventually if I kept fighting him. He covered his passengers with chakra before he tossed them aside so he could focus on the fight, making sure to put a lot of space between himself and them. Kakashi. He yelled. Run. He didn't stop to check if the Jonin did what he was told. The redhead snarled before she spun and hit him with a back kick, sending him flying back. Sasuke gasped, even as the bones in his arms fixed themselves. He formed a Chidori and hit the ground, sending a torrent of electricity at her. The girl jumped into the air and stood there, staring down at him with beautiful blue eyes. What? Sasuke asked, both at her flying and his own mental description of her. Never heard of air walking. It's the secret third chakra control exercise. Sasuke glared at her before creating 9 giant chakra arms and launching them at her. She gracefully dodged all his attacks. Then she formed the Tora hand seal. Fire style. Majestic beauty of 1,000 suns. Sasuke quickly clapped his hands together, summoning the Susanoo, which now looked a lot like a fox, as a giant ball of white flame descended on him. The girl's fireball is harder than any flame Sasuke had felt outside of the Genjutsu. His Susanoo began breaking apart on top of him. With a flex of his chakra, he switched places with his opponent. As the training ground exploded, Sasuke scanned for his opponent's chakra, then almost flinched when he saw it. Everyone's chakra had a color, but this girl's, it was a BL. Void. He barely sensed the next attack coming and dodged as she went flying past him. From up close, Sasuke noticed exactly how astoundingly beautiful she was. What? Sasuke asked, too surprised at react to her leg lashing out and nailing him in the face, sending him to the ground, right in the middle of Konoha. Sasuke stared up from the crater he was inside. What the fuck? Meanwhile on the far edge of Konoha, Kakashi had reached the place Sasuke had thrown everyone. I can see I'm not the only one suffering, he noted. Who the fuck is that? Shikamaru asked. He was the only one still on the ground, which made sense. That would be Mary Sue. As far as I can tell, she's an anomaly that bends the universe to her will. It's not Naruto, Sakura asked. She looked off to the side as a massive explosion rocked the village. She fights Sasuke like she's Naruto. I could never be Mary Sue, a quiet voice said, drawing their attention. It was Naruto. A dirty, malnourished, sickly Naruto, but Naruto, nonetheless. Nah Naruto. Hinata screamed as she ran to him, lifting her comically large wedding dress as she did so. The fake Naruto winced and held his hand out in front of him protectively. Please don't hit me. Hinata screeched to a halt. Naruto, she said sadly. What do you mean you can never be like Mary Sue? Sakura asked. She wobbled as she got to her feet. I mean, she's perfect. She's everything I'm not. Looks, smarts, skill. I'm just. Shut up. Sakura yelled. Naruto's mouth closed with an audible click. The visitors to the genjutsu were filled with rage at the sight of this version of their friend. Who cares? Sakura asked. Who cares about some overly made-up bitch who cheats her way out of every challenge? She pointed at him. You are Naruto Uzumaki. You give up, even when all logic says you should. And it's dumb, but it's admirable. And anyone who spends time with you can see it. Naruto stared at her in confusion. But nothing. As far as I'm concerned, one of you is worth 1,000 of her. What? Everyone spun around to see the subject of their discussion, but she looked different. She was covered in a golden aura that seemed to keep her floating off the ground. Her hair was now golden and pointing upwards, and her eyes had evidently settled on blue. How dare you? She asked. This is my world. My world. Mine. 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 Calm down, beautiful. Everyone turned to the source of the voice. Sasuke was struggling to stand as he glared at her. Fighting you is annoying. Every time we clash, I can feel this genjutsu trying to convince me I'm in love with you. Mary Sue shrugged. It's not my fault my opponents all come to realize how great I am when we fight. The only one who doesn't seem to get it is that pathetic filth that he's worth attention. She pointed at Naruto. Sasuke smiled. So what you're saying is that no matter what, Naruto won't stop to obey you. The girl groaned. I know. It's annoying. Does he think this story is about him? Funny you should ask that. A portal formed in front of Sasuke and another Naruto stumbled through, growling with rage. He looked like Naruto's Six Paths form, but black. Instead of golden. What? Mary Sue asked. Another of those worthless worms. Worthless. The new Naruto growled. I'll show you worthless. He charged at the girl and rammed into her. The moment they connected, a black portal appeared around. And they disappeared. Well, Sasuke said, dispelling the portal in front of him. Now they can fight over who the main character is for all eternity in one of Kagaya's dimensions. He looked at Na. What happened to him? Sakura scoffed and clumsily waved Sasuke off before turning back to the malnourished Naruto. Remember what I say right now. You are worth so much more than people. You credit for. Okay. The Naruto nodded. Okay. Sasuke said, his arms sprouted from him and grabbed everyone. He glanced at the rubble that used to be Konoha. Then he looked at the fake Naruto. Are you going? Okay. The fake nodded. It's not that different from what I'm used to. Well, Sasuke, Sakura said, giggling. Looks like you did destroy Konoha. Then she laughed hysterically. Is she going to cycle through every type of drunk there is? Shikamaru asked. Sasuke created a new portal and walked through it. Hopefully, it's less insane in the next one. They appeared in what Sasuke assumed was Kiba's room. Then he did a double take. You're still a teenager. Kiba looked up from where he was lying on the floor in a fetal position at the glowing mass that had entered his room. Sasuke, is that you? Are you here to rescue me fro? Madness. Before Sasuke could answer, the building rumbled. Tuss me, Hana. It's time for you to taste this BBC. Come get your vitamin D. Sasuke looked off to the side. Was that the Raikage? Kiba hopped onto Sasuke, which was difficult considering that he was taller than him. Get me out of this hell. Wah. Do it. Ino screamed, before he notices us. Sasuke formed a new arm and grabbed Kiba before walking into a new portal. Ino's genjutsu had him in no mood to see what the Raikage was like here. When they met Shizune, Sasuke groaned in annoyance. You got drunk too, Shizune. Sakura screamed, ignoring the panicking bar patrons running away from them. You got more booze. Give me some. No. Sasuke said before snatching the woman up and creating a new portal. No one needs to get drunk. Choji's genjutsu had everyone staring at a shrine to Sasuke as Naruto went into detail about how the currently missing ninja would impregnate him. After Sasuke slapped the fake into unconsciousness, he wordlessly went back to Shizune's genjutsu to pick up a couple bottles of sake. The air is different, Sasuke said as he noted they were in a restaurant. A teenage Tenten leapt into his arms. You don't want to see what I have seen. Everyone took her word for it. They found Sai camping. This would have been strange enough if not for the fact that he had a line scratched through his headband. Ha! Sakura laughed. Who's a traitorous cockroach now? Then she looked down. Hey Tenten, switch with me. What? Tenten asked. I want Sasuke to carry me. Sakura whined before taking another swig from her bottle. Please Sasuke. Please Sasuke. Please. Sasuke used his Rinnegan to switch both girls. Woo. Sakura yelled before she wrapped her arms around his neck. Will you carry me in your arms too, Sasuke? Sai asked. Sasuke created a new arm to pick up the ninja. Rock Lee was standing in the rain, staring pensively at the sky. He looked at them before smiling. Youthful. Sasuke scooped him up with the hand already holding Sai and walked through a new portal. Finally, Sasuke said, Kurama. The two boys sitting at Ichiraku Ramen turned around. Sasuke balked at the sight of the nine-tails fox, in human form, slurping noodles. Kurama, Naruto said, it's our classmates, I think they look different. Kurama facepalmed. See what I've had to deal with. Sakura giggled at the sound of the fox's rough voice coming out of the small body. Sasuke gave Kurama a flat look. I weep for you. Kurama rolled his eyes before looking at Naruto. I'm gonna have to leave for a while. Do you promise not to eat anything on the floor until I get back? The fake Naruto thought about it. No, he answered definitively. Kurama stared at the boy for 20 seconds before nodding. Good enough for me. He hopped off his seat and disappeared. Let's go. Sasuke heard Kurama's voice say in his head. Sasuke opened a new portal and stepped through. And then he did a double take. Are we in Suna? Shikamaru asked. Forget that. Is that Gaara? Ino asked. Their questions finally drew the attention of Naruto and the two girls who were playing tug of war with him. Okay. What's happening now? Sasuke set everyone down. We're here to break the genjutsu and take you to the real world. Naruto stared at Sasuke with suspicion. And what about the violent Oedipal rape fantasies? Sasuke stared back at him. That's not the worst thing I've heard today. Naruto. Hinata screamed before jumping onto him. I've been so worried about you. The fake Hinata, still holding Naruto's arm, stared at her double. Who the fuck is this bitch? The real Hinata jumped back in shock and looked at her double. Hi. Before the fake Hinata could do anything, Sasuke teleported behind her and sent a shock into the back of her neck. She fell like a sack of potatoes. Ha. The female Gaara said. I win bit. She froze as Sasuke appeared behind her and shocked her too. I can't stand up to the implied highballed multiversal scale. She screamed before passing out. Wait. Naruto said. Is this real? I can leave. Yes. Sasuke answered. I just need to enter your mind and shut it down from there. Naruto flinched. Do you have to? Or I can wake these two up and have them keep fighting over you. Naruto looked terrified. Okay. Your funeral. Sasuke sighed. Look at my eyes. Naruto did as he was told. No. The unconscious Hinata groaned. Naruto is mine. Sasuke ignored her and entered Naruto's mind. He immediately regretted it. Sasuke had been inside Naruto's mind space before. This was very different. Instead of a sewer with a giant gate, it looked like a luxurious lounge with giant marble columns and sofas decorating the space. The floor was a rug. Oh, an Uchiha. The female voice drew Sasuke's attention. By Hagoromo's beard, Kurama exclaimed, his voice still in Sasuke's head. It was an orange-haired 7-foot-tall, busty woman, with huge breasts and a feral smile. She was dressed in a see-through kimono above an orange bikini. And of course, ears on her head, the abomination sauntered up to Sasuke, her hips swaying as she moved. Well, big boy, to what do I owe the pleasure? Sasuke sighed. You know what? It's been a long fucking day. He created a Chidori. Don't move. Susaku Yuji was startled to find that he was no longer needed. And annoyed that he'd been carried to Konoha by that overly enthusiastic, smiling green menace for no R. But, what about the genjutsu? Yeah, the Hokage said. That was apparently mostly a side effect of the tailed beast's chakra. Yuji blinked. That was an interesting thing to learn. So, what was the vision like? Tsunade got up from her desk. Follow me. Yuji followed her to a bar. Inside, several ninja were either inebriated or passed out sleeping. No. One with pineapple-like hair said. A Nara. The clothes were completely covered in the faces. It was weird. Is it strange I want one of those? A white-haired man Yuji recognized as Hitaki Kakashi asked. I will never recover from what I've heard, a teen said staring into the distance. Yuji recognized him as being a member of the Akamichi clan. You'll get better, Kakashi said. Where's the victim? Yuji asked. He's over there, Tsunade said, pointing at a corner everyone was respectfully avoiding. Sitting at a table, Uzumaki. Naruto was asleep. His teammates were sitting on the opposite side of the table, talking to each other. They were sitting rather close. I can't believe they went in and pulled him out. Tsunade smiled. Well, he'd do the same for them. He can be quite the inspiration. Hopefully this never happens again. Yuji nodded as he watched a blonde draped herself onto a pale blank-faced teen while crying comically about protecting her virtue. Yeah, that'd be for the best.